Hi, Brad from Cougar Ridge. I've been asked a lot by all kinds of friends to see my greenhouse and how it was built. I didn't really have a video camera at the time, so I didn't video it, but I do have stills, and I got a lot of them, so I'll make a video and show you. And this is the little greenhouse right here, and show you what it is. That's partially underground. And I'll explain that as we go in the video. So let's get to it. Here we go. So it was November 30th, 2014. I had decided to build a greenhouse, and even though it was late in the year, I decided, what the heck. You can see the snow is already on the ground, but I decided to chance it anyway, even though I could get a foot of snow any day. I wanted the greenhouse to have a south-facing roof for maximum winter heat, and I had this shop building already standing with a north-south roof, so I decided to use one of the walls as the non-light side of a greenhouse. I wanted to make it as much of a Walipini as possible, so this was the most likely location, as the building already had power, its mass would give shelter to the greenhouse from the northwestern wind, and it was already on a hill, partially sunken, to be level. Oh, yeah, the cat, drinking out of the deer water bowl. The deer don't mind. He thought that bowl was his, and he thought that he was the toughest thing on the ranch, so he constantly tried to bully the deer, but the bucks would just have their antlers down at him, and he'd run for cover under the picnic table. A Walipini is an underground greenhouse, a pit greenhouse, a sunken greenhouse, or an earth-sheltered greenhouse. It's a structure with some or all of the growing area dug into the ground. Having the growing area under the ground level gives you the thermal benefits of being cooler in the warm weather and warmer in the cold weather. Yeah. Similar to a root cellar, but with a lot of light. I used the backhoe to dig it all out because it was already frozen, but leveling the floor, well, that was done manually with shovels and rakes. The greenhouse will be 10 feet wide and 24 feet long, so here you can see that I've laid out the railroad ties for the Walipini underground walls. The red marks show me where I drilled holes and drove half-inch rebar through the top railroad tie into the one below to secure it in place. Due to its size, the red marks are also there, so I would know where the steel was in the wood as I went along. You can also see that the Walipini will be just under 2 feet under the ground, and that was necessary so that you could walk upright due to the slope of the existing building's roof height. You can see here that I'm covering the railroad ties with plastic so the water from outside doesn't run in and make a mess during the spring melt and the summer monsoons. To keep the extreme below zero cold from coming through the uneven joints in the railroad ties, prior to covering with plastic, I sealed all of the cracks with spray and foam insulation to make the walls airtight. Now it's time to level up the ground to the Walipini walls and put a couple of yards of gravel in the bottom. You can see my dad sitting on the picnic table supervising. I went to the Habitat for Humanity Restore and bought a bunch of used double-pane solid windows and a couple of tall double-pane sliders. They were about to trash them, so I got these and a bunch more for $5 a piece. Not bad. So here I am building the upper walls to fit the hodgepodge of window sizes and starting to tie in the roof. Then I had some gray paint. I wanted white, but this was all the hardware store had in their mismatched $5 a gallon paint, so I was building this on the cheap, so the greenhouse got gray versus white. Well, it's better than black. The next step was to install the windows and make wooden panels backed with high-density foam insulation for all of the non-window gaps. Last night a strong wind loosened this tree and it threatened to fall on my new Walipini, so for safety's sake I hooked her up to Old Yeller and backed her up. These trees don't have a huge root ball, so if they threaten to fall it's better to take them out. No matter, we heat our homes with wood stoves up here so nothing goes to waste. The tree gets cut up into stove-sized pieces ready for the wood splitter, and the rest of the tree goes up to our biochar burning area. We make biochar to enhance the soil. It's wonderful. I have another video making biochar you might want to watch. I'll put the link in the description. So at this point, the dangerous tree is out, the ground is level and graveled, the windows are sealed in, I've got temporary plastic on the roof so I can work inside, a temporary plastic door in place to keep the weather out, and all of the insulated non-window pieces are in place and ready for painting. I'm inside the Walipini now, and my cats are outside guarding the water bucket from the deer. Okay, I've been working hard and fast, and the days are short now. I finally have lights inside so I can work into the night finishing the inside. It's been warmish for the past week, but our weather station says snow and cold is coming, so I've got to get hangars built to get the summer geraniums and other plants that are covered on the porch inside the greenhouse. Just in the nick of time, I got the hanger pipes up and got the plants moved in yesterday, and last night the weather changed, snowy and cold, but not to worry, the plants are snug in their new winter home. Notice the 55-gallon poly drum I have in the corner. That will be my watering system for winter, as this building is too far to get water to, so I put two 55-gallon poly drums together and designed a siphon system to fill them and feed a 12-volt RV pump, and I'll show you that a little closer in just a moment. So with the thin plastic sheeting on the roof, the cold just came right in, and I had to run two huge propane heaters to keep the plants from freezing. So I broke down and bought 16mm polycarb 5-wall clear panels for the roof to give me as much insulation as possible. They're UV coated on one side to protect from our harsh UV, and they don't drip on the inside. Yes, to answer your question, they were pricey, about $200 a panel, but they really hold the cold out and keep the water, the humidity from dripping on the inside. On a day when it's 15 below outside, I can keep the interior 60 degrees with two small 1200-watt space heaters. It was well worth the investment. Plus, they are as good today as when I installed them December of 2014. I had an old Skylight that I turned into a Skylight vent. I bought a hydraulic ram that opens at 80 degrees to let the excess heat out. Nowadays, this place is jam-packed for winter. We have to shuffle plants around to get our seedlings started, but year after year we grow our own seedlings into starter plants, and it's great for us because our growing season is very short here. Not to mention that we save hundreds of dollars every spring by not having to buy garden starter plants in the nurseries. We can't plant outside until June 1st, and sometimes even then stuff freezes. Then the freeze usually arrives about the middle of September, so our garden is done. So getting a 6-week head start in the Walipini greenhouse lets us have a huge and productive garden. Now, a moment ago I said I would show you a close-up of the Walipini greenhouse water system, so here it is. I buried two 55-gallon drums a third deep in each corner of the greenhouse. I made sure they were both level with each other so that the water would be at the same level in both. I tied them together with 1-inch PVC and then made risers that come up the side and go down into each barrel to the bottom. At the home end, I put a 3-inch fill and a takeoff for the RV pump. There are some valves to isolate each tank and the pump. I use an old marine battery as a power supply with a float charger on it. I fill it from the outside, and the water going in evacuates any air in the siphon and rejuvenates the siphon of each tank at every time it fills. The water in the tanks absorbs the internal greenhouse heat and then acts like a heat battery for the greenhouse, which keeps its temperature from swinging drastically day through night. All in all, I haven't changed a thing since the day I built it, except for adding more overhead pipes for hanging plants and a lot of plastic shelves that don't rot from constant water, and a plastic cabinet to keep all of the fertilizer, soaps, heaters, and miscellaneous. Before we got a chick brooder built, it served 1 year as a brooding pen for a batch of chicks. We just put up a couple of chicken wire walls and kept them in the middle of everything. It now houses our 2 mother jade plants that you may have seen on the water barrels. They like it in the greenhouse year-round, and we make lots of new jade plants from them. We keep tomato and pepper plants in there year-round too, so our harvest is perpetual, and we can even grow Hawaiian plumeria in the Walipini greenhouse. So there you have it, our Walipini-style greenhouse at Cougar Ridge Ranch. I'm going to fall down here if I'm not careful. Brad from Cougar Ridge Ranch, where am I? Yeah. Call sign Captain Wingnut, signing off. Don't forget to like us, follow us, whatever you do here, and leave positive comments always. All right, appreciate you. Love doing these for you. We're cleared for takeoff. So long.